How's it going? So it's your man Cham here, and today we're here for round 5 of the Aussie Sim Racing Championship, this time in Spain. Now, apologies for last week, I couldn't get any voice commentary out because in reality I was just so busy that I did not have the time to do it. So anyway, that race in Russia wasn't too good for me, I didn't enjoy it, just couldn't feel any sort of grip or anything through the day. I was feeling alright for a bit, but then I just got hounded by corner cards, and basically it screwed me over. It's my own fault, but it sucks, it really does. Anyway, on to bigger and better things now. We're here at Spain, and hopefully we can do a bit better. So, currently, we're here in 4th place, trying to get a decent lap in, and, well, by the end of it, we ended up just holding place. Somehow out of nowhere, the man Nemo actually managed to end up getting 3rd place. In the whole grand scheme of things, P4 really wasn't bad, but I was just looking for something better. I wanted to be on the front row, but unfortunately the 2 Haas cars were just way too quick in qualifying. And so here we were, getting ready for the race to finally begin. I was feeling quite optimistic about this one really. I had Force 1 behind me, the championship leader, in a bit of a runaway at the moment really. And because of that, I was hoping that I'd actually be able to keep ahead of him and maybe get some decent points out of this race because, well, we're something like 40 points down in the leaders. We really need to catch them. It's not good enough for me, really. Coming into the season, I was looking to get a championship challenge and, well, so far, I just haven't delivered. A change in fortunes right now really would just be quite good. But then it was time to put it to the test. So here we are. We got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And away we go for the Spanish Grand Prix. I've had a terrible start really, and Force 1 already has got equal with us really. It wasn't a good start by all means, but thankfully we had the inside line, so hopefully we could throw it up his inside, go through, and well, that hasn't quite come off, and then he wanted to start pushing us off the track, so I knew just from that moment that he wanted to fight pretty dangerously, but thankfully I had the traction to deal with it, and eventually I just went for the dive again and got through back into 4th place. I was still feeling pretty unhappy from his diving antics in Russia, so at this point I was hoping I'd be able to keep him ahead and not have to put up with it again. In a move which might be quite bad for us in the end, Nemo actually ended up keeping 3rd place off the start, so we're going to have to try and make a move on him at some point. He's a clean racer when he wants to be, but I didn't exactly like the idea of being behind him, and nor did I like the idea of making mistakes, which gave Force 1 another good opportunity to overtake me, and well, he ended up trying to take it, going for a dive up the inside, but we're not about that life. We're going to try our hardest to defend, but unfortunately he's got the better of us here, and he's through. But he is having issues. No one can keep the car in a straight line at this point, so we're both sliding around, and eventually he got through, but I wasn't going to give up that easily. However, things got pretty interesting pretty quick here as Nemo ended up actually being caught by Force 1 here. And, well, things got interesting to say the least as he forces his McLaren teammate off the road. I've gone through, Mozza behind me has gone through, we've got Nemo in a move, and then Mozza, from out of literally nowhere, just comes and goes straight through the middle of us. He's on the outside line. We're looking at him, and he's gone through us. We've had a bit of a run-in with Nemo as well, but thankfully, however, that didn't last long, and we've actually got out of it unscathed. Unfortunately though, Mozza has been the main beneficiary of this, and Nemo is still in front of us, so we're now in 5th place. Oh man, that's just too much action for me, and it's not going to let up either, as now we've got Force 1 behind us yet again. Oh man, this has been a chaotic race so far, and it's only 3 laps in. But for real, that whole overtake on the front straight just felt incredible really. I didn't get anything out of it, but it was just such a good bit of racing there from the other 2 as well. Here I am looking at it now, and I didn't give Nemo the space, which probably wasn't a good thing on my part, but in the end, I sort of got myself out of there, avoided a collision, which is great, and there we go. A fantastic move. However, fast forward a few laps here, and now I've actually lost a whole heap of time to Nemo, and I'm struggling on my tyres, so basically, I decided that I may as well head to the pits now, and here's where things get real interesting, because in the meantime, Force 1 actually ended up pitting to fix some damage, so who knows where we're going to come out to compared to him. Hopefully in front still, but with the fact that I've not actually been keeping good pace, it could be very interesting coming out of the pits. Thankfully though, the stop was good, we didn't have any dramas getting away, and we ended up actually quite far ahead of him as he took the hard tyre and just couldn't back up his pace at all on it. Unfortunately though, things didn't quite go to plan for me, as Nemo actually got out ahead of me yet again. Bit frustrating, but we had way quicker tyres than him, so we could get ahead of him, and then Mozza as well, I feel. The first car here to negotiate though was Bahrain's winner Wayno. He'd run into a few problems of his own, and unfortunately for him, he was not having a good race, but thankfully for me, I was having a good race so far, and I need to make sure that I go ahead of him, but moves like that are just not what I was hoping for at all, so it's a little bit mad about that one. Thankfully, however, I managed to get past him in the next corner without any front wing damage. In the end, however, by the end of the lap, we'd got pretty close to him, and so a move was on the cards. So, getting ready for the move, going onto the straight, he's let us through. It was pretty surprising, but hey, I'll happily take the free position there. I mean, he's just clearly seen that I was going a lot faster, and, well, it nearly helped me get past Mozza as well, who somehow managed to keep in front of us, actually. I'm not really sure how that happened, but either way, we were hoping that he was going to be mincemeat soon, especially as he's on the hard tyres. Thankfully, however, we actually managed to go and get the move done on the next lap. So here we are, lining him up for a decent overtake on the straight. We've opened up, and through we go, clean as a whistle on the inside of him. Pretty good overtake from us. And there we are, into P3. Now all we have to do is just watch out for corner cuts, as I've already racked up a 3-second penalty for them this race as well. Strict corner cutting really is not my friend. I'm not enjoying it, I really am not. Obviously it's something I can't turn off, but yeah. Eventually though, I found myself actually gaining a bit of time on the guys behind me, so here I was just trying to grind out some really good laps before I got onto the hard tyre for my final stint. I was in P3 and things were going pretty good. I was making gaps on Nemo, but at the same time I had to be careful because I was actually losing time to the guys behind me at this point. I mean, I was doing alright, but at the same time my soft tyres were eventually just going to fall off the cliff, really. Sadly for me though, it actually didn't take them very long at all to get near me. It took them only like 3 laps, and then things just got even worse because now Nemo was right on the back of me, and well, he could have gone for a move he really wanted to with a dive bomb, but thankfully he didn't. Of course though, that meant I'd have to look out later on in the stint because he would be able to make a move. Unfortunately for me though, it was looking like he'd actually be able to catch me quite quickly here, as I was now starting to lose a lot of time with these worn tyres. It was not nice at all. However, I thought I'd still be able to get a fair amount of rubber out of the tyres, so I didn't decide to pit that lap, and it cost me real bad, as Nemo here actually has got a very good opportunity on me to try and make a move. He's got a great run, and he's going to go for it. He's taken the inside line, and through he goes into P3. Oh man. Congratulations to Nemo for the good move, but this is really not what I planned. I did not want myself to be stuck behind him on tyres that were this worn. I was hoping by using an aggressive strategy I would be able to actually make the tyres last well, but it's just not happening. At this point I was basically hell-bent on trying to get back ahead of him, but my tyres just weren't going to give me the grip to be able to actually do so. And because of that, I decided to jump into the pits, but in a pretty crucial error, I actually forgot to set medium tyres before I got into the pit lane, so I was stuck on the hards. Looking back on it now, I definitely could have made mediums work until the end of the race, judging by the pace that everyone else had. Of course though, there was another issue. People like Mozza and Grunting Tortoise were actually going to go to the end on their hard tyres, so I basically just wasted an extra pit stop putting the softs on. Once again, I just try to be too aggressive in my strategy and go for a 2-stop rather than a 1-stop. That was what killed me in this race, I feel, because if I hadn't done that, I reckon I could have got P4, maybe even a podium if I was lucky enough. Instead, I found myself in P7 after the pit stops were said and done. Really not good, but thankfully, there was still people in front of me that needed the pit, so I had some positions to gain. Thankfully though, in the pit stops, I managed to get back up to P5, but I was joined by the 2 McLarens who actually came out just behind me after a few pit lane dramas of their own. I was lucky to stay ahead, to be honest, but with Force having a lot of pace given the fact that he was going quicker than me before his problems early on in the race, and Nemo being on quicker tyres than me, it could be a bit of a struggle from here on in, but let's find out. To be honest though, I really didn't realise that I actually had this much track to myself. I mean, they're like a good 5-10 seconds behind me, it's pretty crazy. Like, I didn't think I'd be this far ahead. Unfortunately for me though, they were both catching at a very fast rate of knots, and so I had to look behind me and make sure they weren't too close. Unfortunately by this point though, it actually got myself a 3-second penalty, so any corner cuts from here on in would go very badly for me. And as well as that, I couldn't afford to lose any more time, as if I did that, both of them would get past me, really. Unfortunately for me though, it became pretty clear in the next few laps that this wasn't going to be my day. Nemo was in my DRS zone, he was about to overtake me, he was on fresher tyres, he didn't have a penalty, and basically I just had to accept that I was going to be in 6th place and just try my hardest to make sure that I didn't end up behind him and Force 1, because they're both catching me and it could well be that Force 1 overtakes both of us. Here we are on lap 30 now, and Nemo's right behind me. Like, there is basically no gap behind us now. He's within my DRS range. I can see him in my mirrors. I'm really not looking forward to the next few laps having to try and defend from him. One thing I did notice in all this, though, is the fact that I was actually going a lot quicker than him in Sector 3. So I decided to do a Max Verstappen sort of strategy in Spain 2016 and actually go faster in the 3rd sector. So basically, I put my fuel up to, like, rich or something for that sector specifically. Make sure I could just get a bit of a gap to him and go from there. I was trying to keep ahead of him because I never knew if he was going to have a penalty or not, so I just had to make sure I was ready for the opportunity if it presented itself. My big problem though was that I was actually going slow in Sector 1 and especially Sector 2, so it was going to be a problem for me to try and keep him behind me, so I just had to make sure that I was going as fast as possible in these 2 sectors while managing to save fuel, because I was pretty marginal on fuel. It was not fun and I didn't enjoy this part of the race at all. Unfortunately though, my little game was up by the end of lap 31. Basically, I'd used too much fuel in the rest of the lap. I had to save fuel. I was still marginal, and because of that, Nemo was right on my back, and I was going a lot slower than him. So, basically, he was going to overtake me soon. It was only a matter of time. I just had to see when it would happen, really. Unfortunately for me, though, it didn't take him very long at all, because by the end of lap 32, he actually caught me completely. It was all looking so good for me, but now he's going to go for the overtake on the straight. He's got an easy run on me. I've tried to pressure him, but it's just not happening. He's overtaken me around the inside. I've kept the inside line for turn 2, but I've just bottled it, really. I've gone way too far in, and he's got me. With 1 lap to go, I'm in P6. I've made a little cheeky mistake, and hopefully I can stay ahead of Force 1. By this point, really, all I could do was pray that he had some sort of penalty from earlier on in the race so I could stay ahead of him. And at this point, really, it seemed like Prez wasn't enough either, as Rumble takes his first win of the ASR season, and we're still catching Nemo, but unfortunately Force 1 is now in our mirrors, which is not something I was looking forward to at all race. Furthermore, I was also running out of fuel as well, so that was another concern of mine that I really was not hoping would be a problem today. Although now I had even bigger problems, so he was right in the back of me, right in my mirrors. And so I had to make sure that I could actually get out of this last corner ahead of him. But missing a gear like that won't help at all. Somehow we avoided major contact, but this is ASR, and there really is no such thing as a clean race here. Thankfully though, I was over the line before I had any dramas this time. I'm just happy there was no repeat of Brazil last season, really. That would not have been a nice experience at all. Unfortunately though, we ultimately ended up behind Force 1, which wasn't where I was looking to be. But then again, I'm just happy I scored some points. Also, we managed to finally get access to a championship table, and you can see now that I'm struggling. I really am. After such a constructive start of the season in Australia, I'm now down to 5th place, 40 points behind Rumble in the lead, which isn't nice. I really do need to bounce back in Monaco. Anyway, it's been your man Cham, and I will see you next time.